pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.
Hey everybody, I believe in the power of my imagination. So today I'm going to do stand-up comedy and I'm going to get right to it. I got a couple of stories to tell you guys. I've always had what you call them bad ass kids, right? So I remember, well, let me back up. I had the type of children that were so brutally honest that they would get their butts whooped because they were so honest. They would say anything, damn near do anything. I remember going into the doctor's office, and this was not an act. This was routine. I had this one son that would just say whatever he wanted to say. And sometimes he was cruel, and I don't even know if he knew it. He couldn't have been no more than about 4 or 5 himself, okay? So this woman walks into the doctor's office, and she has this little newborn baby, and the head of this baby is big, and I'm going to apologize now, and just shiny and bald, okay? And I remember my son, he's a beautiful little boy, big old eyes. The baby came in the doctor's office with his mother, and you could see that she was a proud, newborn mama, baby in the blanket, but his head stuck out so big, and it was bald. So my son gets up and he eases to look over the baby's, head and everything. And I'm saying, come here, son. And he looks, and I'm looking at him, and I'm shaking my head left to right, like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. And out of his mouth, he says, woo, mama, that baby bald-headed. My heart dropped. I knew I was going to have the fight of the century, because I had many before over them badass kids. You can know that your children are bad and still be ready to get plucked up for them. I mean, basically, you're going to fight and go to hell, and they're going to put you there because they're always doing something. I was so glad that this lady took it very lightly. And this particular parent, because there were many, was very easygoing. She said, it's fine. He is bald-headed. But not all parents had taken to that. Not all situations in my life had been like that over them badass kids, So I just wanted to say that that's always been in my mind. And I had to tell the story about how funny things can be. Not all situations turned out that way. There were plenty of times when I found my buck 27-pound weighing ass out there on the front line trying to fight for these kids for something that they've done or said, right? So that's that story. But let me go on. Them badass kids. So I have another son. Different kids. Various situations, but different children. And I quickly learned through my son's teacher. One day they had, tell us what your parents do. And my son was in kindergarten. So the story went a little something like this. They asked little Johnny, hey, Johnny, what do your parents do for a living? Or what do you guys do? And little Johnny said, well, I don't know what we do. Mind you, these are 5 and 4-year-old children. But we go to church every Sunday. And all I know is people pass out all the time on the ground. And people sing and there's crosses everywhere. Well, I guess that kind of meant, depending on what your religion was, is that Johnny's parents might have been a pastor and a first lady, just based off of what he says. Okay. So we move on and we go to another scenario and we talk to Jenny and we say, Jenny, what do your parents do for a living? And Jenny says, well, my mom has a sewing machine and she makes clothes. And then we go to this place and there's a cash register there. And she sells things. So Jenny was very smart because she knew that her parents were entrepreneurs and they sold things and mom made the clothes for the sale, which was great. You got Jenny and you've got the pastor. And so then finally we get to my son and they say, so, DeMonte, I will say his name. What does your mom do? And DeMonte says, I don't know. So they start probing. I think he's on the edge and on the fence of whether he should say anything or where he isn't because, as black families, we tell them whatever go on in this house, stay in this house, even my job description. So he's uneasy about what it is or whether or not he's supposed to spill the tea on what his mama's job is. So they said, well, what do you mean you don't know? Does your mom leave? And he says, yes, she's gone a lot, and she stay gone all day long, right? So now they're really asking questions. You don't know if CPS is in the hallway or not. We need to figure out what kind of job this mother does that leaves her kids all day long, right? So he continues to talk and they say, well, have you ever been where your mom works? Let's get this figured out, DeMonte. And he says, oh, no, I can't go there, So now that makes them more curious. And now the children are like, tell us. And the teacher says, well, why do you think you haven't been where your mother works? And he says, because I would need outfits. And I don't have any of those kind of underwear. Right? So it gets better. And so the teacher says, underwear, and he says, yeah, they're funny looking underwear with a string. And I don't have any of those. So I can't, I don't know. Matter of fact, I don't know what my mom does. I just don't know. So now they're probing. They want to know more and more and more. And they say, okay, all right. So just tell us a little bit more, And he says, all I know is we buy music all the time. And I don't have any of those underwear. So that's just it. I don't know what my mom does. I don't know. She's got these funny underwear, but I don't know what she does. Now, that's not true because I've always been transparent with my children. So if there were anyone who knew about my part-time job or whatever it was my children. So finally, out of aggravation, he says, okay, I think she asked him one more time, are you sure you don't know? Let's just call your mom, and we can ask her because we really want you to be a part of this, right? So DeMonte then says, okay. I know what she does. She's just a stripper, right? So there you have it. All my business right out there in the street. And I was livid. So I get the call from the teacher, right? And she wants to know if he's being honest, and he was, or if he's just making this up. Is he someone also with a vivid imagination, or is this kid just traumatized, or is his mom really a stripper, All right, so fast forward, I get the call from the teacher, and she explains the story just the way that I told you guys. I think there might have been a couple of more candidates or whatever. And really, she had the audacity to call me and tell me that my son was speaking inappropriately because these kindergartners had no business hearing the word stripper, right? So I'm saying to myself, those kindergartners had no business asking my son what the hell this mama did in the privacy of her home or what her job was when he had already said that he didn't know, But it was amazing how things just got changed around. So he got in trouble and got written up for telling the classmate that his mama was a stripper. When in my opinion, they shouldn't have never been asking him. Rightfully so. He should not have told those kindergartners my damn business, but he did. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing how he gets a referral for telling the classmate on the first day of school in a teacher-parent-child conference what his mom's job description is. So I'm going to go on because those are the days of my life with them badass kids, right? Have you ever got to a point where you had your heart broke and you're in a bad relationship? Or a difficult relationship? I don't call them bad because relationships are built off of what you're willing to make them, okay? We all have problems. There's no perfect relationship. I get it, okay? But I'm going to go on to say this. I've been to counseling a couple of times because sometimes people make you think that it's you that's part of the problem. And then you're always taught that you got to fix yourself before you can fix anybody else. And I get that too, all right? So let's talk about an argument after counseling and before counseling. An argument before counseling goes with a few choice words where you talk about their mama, their daddy, their kids, and there are no rules to the game. Just no rules to the game. And every word is a beep, 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 because we're taught that People who use choice cuss words are uneducated and unable to express themselves. Well, when I learned that, honey, oh, it was on, because I never wanted to be in that category, okay, with my ghetto self. But it's okay. So, it's like after 6 months of counseling, 3 days and 45 seconds, okay, an argument goes a little bit something like this. When you can admit that you got problems, because first you guys sit in the intake and it's like, he's got the problem, he needs counseling. I don't need no counseling. Ain't nothing wrong with me. If he didn't do what he was supposed to do, and if he didn't cheat, if he didn't do this and that. So once you get to a point where you understand that counseling is helpful for both, because there's a lot of different perspectives based off of how you respond. Are you going to be violent? You going to put your hands on somebody? Are you going to talk it out? You going to walk it out? What are you going to do? And yes, it is true that a lot of that response stems from what your surroundings, what your belief systems are or is, and it goes from there. But let's get to it. So before the argument, like I said, you get a couple choice words, and it's mother this and beep that and da-da-da and your mama and yada, yada, yada. After counseling, though, your language changes just a little bit, and you get into an argument, and it sounds a little something like this. You ain't gonna use that reverse psychology on me. Ever heard of that one before? You are just, no, you can't do the name calling. Let me back up. You have narcissistic, if I can pronounce it, behaviors. You ain't a narcissist, but you're behaving like one. And it's really hard to let go of the past. So you're going to get you some shots in there. You're just a serial cheater, a serial manipulator, a serial liar, a serial everything. You're just a serial mother plucker. You going to get you one in there. You're going to get you one. I don't care how much counseling you got. They push the right buttons, it's going down. It's going down. It is going down. Okay. And now you just diffused the whole argument because they don't know what the hell you're talking about. You just changed your subject. And they're looking at you like, oh, what? Because serial is associated with killers most of the time. And when you attach it to an argument, it's like, oh, hell no. She damn near calling me a killer. They say kill the argument with kind words, but there's some people that don't work for. It just don't work for, So you can calm the tone down, and you try to get that person to understand their perspective without calling them wrong, Even if you change the tone and say, honey, you're a serial manipulator. You exhibit narcissist behavior. You're a serial cheater. You're just a serial mother plucker. And you change that tune. I don't care what you are arguing about. It stops. It stops. Ain't no more argument. Because now they're trying to get their vocabulary together. Like, where in the hell did she get all this information from, And it's counseling as we're taught to diffuse the tone, to diffuse the situation and to go down. You take that, but you still going to get your shots in there somehow. You're still going to get, you basically learn to start the name calling and to describe the behavior. And it's still going to hit home, okay? And that's what it's all about. There's a lot of that's going on. I know that I'm standing here or sitting here, and I'm talking about it in a delightful way. But there's some seriousness to what I'm saying here, and I'm glad that I'm able to kind of put some light on what has been a broken-hearted situation, But in life, I'm also learning that you got to learn how to fight. And I'm not talking about with your dukes up and with your hands. You have to learn, because if you're not careful, you will have people thinking that you're crazy, okay? You will have people thinking that you're crazy when they're the ones that have the patterns. They're the ones that have the history, And if you listen long enough, they will have already manipulated you to believing that you're crazy, And in an argument, you'll be like, I'm not the cheater. And then you think about it and you be like, let me see, let me make sure now. What's this timeline at? You get to second guessing yourself. Because the one thing that they'll do is they'll always tell you that there's something wrong. Your kids don't like you. No, they love me and my bank account. So you can go on with that one. That don't exist and it don't apply. Next, stop with them serial lies. Okay? Well, you have problems too. Yeah, my biggest problem is your ass. Admittedly. Next, you are a problem. Nope, let me back up. Nope, you're not the problem. Your behaviors are problematic. Yeah, that part. Your behaviors are problematic. You got to stay on track because they will so pull you off track and tell you that although they have this long history of patterns of deceit and manipulation and inappropriate behaviors, that you're the issue. You're the issue. So you got to be careful. And you got to change that tone. You got to change that tone and be like, I'm not a serial manipulator. I'm not a serial liar. I'm not a serial motherfucker. You are. Because very rarely do you get people who can own it and say, you know what? I do apologize. That wasn't the best decision. That wasn't the most inappropriate. And what I have found is that the people that are still making excuses are going to be the ones that are still going to make those same mistakes or still make those same behaviors and then call them a mistake. And call them a mistake. So after a while, I just said, you know what? I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to be the best me I can be. I ain't going to worry about nobody else. And if you find me, okay, then at least I have my stuff together. So it's just going to be me and them damn badass kids. But I also remember that it took me a while to get into a relationship because I was so gung-ho about my children that you wasn't having dinner at my house if I just met you. You wasn't even coming to my house if I just met you. So people after a while, we date and we go out and they was waiting for the ask. Like, damn, you not going to invite me over? And I'd be like, no, you got your own shit. I ain't coming to your house, So it got to a point where people were like, nah, you know what? I've been talking to you, for such and such months and weeks and days, and you ain't invited me to your house yet, You must have men. You must have you must got a man at the house, because they're probing now, like, I've spent money on this chick and, whatever the case may be, and she has not invited me to her house. And when I tell you I was gung-ho with these children, like, they couldn't do no wrong. I was overly protective. I just told y'all earlier, they'd be the type of kids, I knew they was bad. And they'd always put me in a situation to get my 127-pound buck self messed up. So the guys would say, you got a man at home? And I say, yeah, I do. I got 3 of them, right? And they look at me like, damn, Jesus. And where do you work again? It's like, nah, don't even make the association. Don't even make the association. Because I don't know if there's a such thing, but I was a good stripper. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, and did not sell myself. Might have sold my soul, but I didn't sell myself. So I was the good stripper for the time that I had it going on. You know what I mean? But back to the guys. They would come in and they'd say, you got men at home. I know you got a man at home. And I'd be like, yeah, I got 3 of them. And they look like, see, I told you, you didn't have me spend all this money on, and how long you got a man? And I'd say, yeah. And I'd name my children, DeMonte, they my kids. And they fall out like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I can't get to the house because your kids? Yeah, you can't get to the house because my kids. They're my kids. You can get your own shit and call me over. But you're not coming up in my crib where my children live, eating their food up, borrowing our food stamps, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're impoverished at this moment. I'm 3 kids in with being a single parent, no baby daddy, nothing. So you ain't getting nothing over here, and you ain't going into what I consider myself, my safe haven, okay? And I would find that would be a process of elimination as well. because if that person wasn't sincere and wasn't, ready, then of course they burn off. But, the better relationships that I did have, they were willing to take the time to get to know them badass kids on my terms and conditions, after some time. And even time don't always set it apart. So, y'all, that's been my time, okay, for them badass kids and them relationships and the arguments after counseling. Y'all, stay tuned for my next episode, because I've got a lot of stories to tell you guys about them badass kids. Until next time, we'll see y'all later. Thanks again. You're tuning in to Jackie Harrington. I don't know which podcast I'm on. I don't know which radio show I'm on, but we'll see. We'll see if this makes the cut. Bye.
This is my dream of a lifetime. This is my dream of a lifetime. I was unrighteous in all my ways, running from my past. I was searching for the love I never had. Relationships, they broke my heart. With you, my life changed. I'm undeserving, 'cause I never put you first. And I feel so ashamed. To love you is to know you. And I'm glad you taught me that. 'Cause it's lonely when you don't believe, but you know that's a fact. Incarcerated, a mother's cry. Nearly lost my son. Lord, you never gave up on me, but you were the only one. Gotta believe this, baby. In my city, but we only get one lifetime. But we only get one lifetime. Money come, money go away, but that real love can go away. 'Cause we only get one lifetime. 'Cause we only get one lifetime. I'm righteous in all my ways, running from my past. I was searching for the love I never had. Relationships, they broke my heart. With you, my life changed. I don't deserve this. I never put you first, and I'm so ashamed. Love you is to know you, and I'm glad you taught me that. 'Cause it's lonely when you don't believe, but you know that's a fact. Incarcerated, a mother's cry. Nearly lost my son. Lord, you never gave up on me, but you are the only one. Gotta believe it's a better way. Me and my city have a better day. But we only get one lifetime. But we only get one lifetime. Money come, money go away, but that real love can go away. 'Cause we only get one lifetime. But we only get one lifetime. Gotta believe there's a better way. Me and my city have a better day. But we only get one lifetime. But we only get one lifetime. Money come, money go away, but that real love can go away. 'Cause we only get one lifetime. 'Cause we only get one lifetime.
Alexa, play Once in a Lifetime by Jackie Harrington.
Once in a Lifetime, No Strings, by Jackie Harrington.